Yes, very good afternoon to one and all. May I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I request the 10th batch to continue with special applications of robots. Yohanath, your team is ready?
Yes, sir, we are ready.
Yes, then go ahead with your presentation, Sabarani.
Okay, sir. Can you guys see the PPT? Hello?
Yes.
It's visible, right? Like I'll start.
Yes, Sabarani, go ahead with your content. Be aware that you have to converge with 5 minutes because 10.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So, hello everyone. Today I'll be speaking about the special applications of industrial robotics. So going ahead with the introduction, industrial robotics is a robot system used for manufacturing. We know that it has been used in a number of systems and engineering applications like automated, programmable, and capable of movement on 2 or 3 more axes. The typical applications in terms of engineering include welding, painting, assembly, pick and place, printed circuit boards, and palletization. They can be of huge help in material handling as well. In the year 2020, an estimate of 1.64 million industrial robots were in operation worldwide according to the IFR. So first, we will move on to some unconventional applications in the fields of engineering. The first one being tire handling. In general, we know that tires are bulky and awkward to handle. Generally, they run to two phases, that is run out and phase out, for the imbalance and the trueness check. Each average tire is of 4 kg and has to be picked 3 times for the process. But then in these days when we have started using robots, we know that they are ideally suited for their application, be it from feeding the tires for the manual inspection, to taking it on the conveyor belt, to feeding it for the imbalance and the true testing machine test. Robots have acted as a boon for the entire thing. Moving on to the next application, we will now see how robots have helped us in bottle descrambling. Bottle descrambling is one of the applications best suited for Delta robots. Bottles dumped into a hooper are evaluated using clatted belt conveyor. Bottles are then fed into a linearizer unit which orients the bottle in either neck forward or reverse orientation. The entire process improves the density of the bottle. This orientation also simplifies the work done by the vision system and the other robots during picking. The robot picking up the bottle from the horizontal orientation from the conveyor flips it to 90 degree to a vertical orientation using either pneumatic or servo automator. The bottle holders or pucks are moved through servo controlled timing screw. The robot places the bottles into pucks. The pucks feeds the bottle into the filling line. This entire process is repeated throughout the time to ensure that the bottle is now accomplished by the robot. Moving on to the next set of applications, we will see coffee vending. Robots that are used for interesting applications such as coffee vending and bartending. These applications represent the fun side of the robot. We have developed compact robot barista which is used to delight customers. The kiosk is the customer attraction which can be used to enhance and market the brand of the coffee or the soft drink. The other purpose is to free up the staff for the other customer-centric functions, while the robot takes care of the repeating jobs and serving the customers. Various brands of coffee and soft drink vending machines can be integrated with robots. Purposefully designed softwares with attractive features lets the customer browse in order to order their favorite drink, while the customer can watch the robot does its antics and serves the coffee. Moving on to the various specifications of the coffee machines, we can see it has one portable POD with a compact footprint. The second one is a compact 6-axis robot with 6 kg payload. The third one being the compact controller household inside the POD, and the fourth one being the modular concept for experiments. Each modular concept is built on a separate POD. The other modules that are available for these kinds of robots are beginner level modules with grippers and simple pick and place experiments. The second one being medium level modules with continuous path programming operations. Third one, advanced modules with integrated vision and assembly. Fourth, the modules can be removed and stored inside the POD when not in use. Customized modules can be added at any point of time for the advanced courses. The system is extremely flexible and the students can get creative and with the designs for new modules as and when required for new purposes. Now let us move on to the engineering applications. The first and the very common one being arc welding or robot welding. This has been started in the 1980s and has been improved ever since. One of the most driving sources for switching to robot welding is improving the safety of the workers from the arc burn and other hazardous fumes. Second one being spot welding. Spot welding joins two contact metal surfaces by directing a large current through the spot, which melts the metal and forms the welded delivered to the spot in a very short time, approximately 10 milliseconds. The third one being material handling, which will be handled later on by one of my teammates in details. But then we know that it has been used to move and pack and sell the products. It can also be used to automate the functions for various parts of one assembly. The fourth one being machine tending. Robot automation for machine tending is the process of loading and unloading raw materials into machinery for processing and other practices. The fifth one, and the most common one probably, being picking and packing and palletizing. Most products are handled multiple times prior to the final shipping. Robot picking and packing increases the speed and efficiency and also helps in the supply chain managing of the entire system. Sixth one being assembly. The robots have been continuously used to assemble products. This makes the process very efficient and reduces the operational costs as well. The seventh one being mechanical cutting, grinding, deburring, and polishing. Building dexterity into robots provides a manufacturing option that is otherwise very difficult to automate. An example of this has been seen in the orthopedic implants. The eighth and the final one being gluing, adhesive, sealing, and spraying metals. The sealer robots are built with numeric robot arm configuration that enable them to apply adhesive any types of product. The primary benefit of this is the quality, speed, and consistency of the final product. Now I will like to invite my teammate Sahul to share the rest of the PPT.
Yeah, so good morning all. So now my topic starts from the underwater robotics. I am Samar Pratap. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Samar. Yes, Samar.
Yeah. So I start with the underwater robotics. Saul, please, next slide. Yeah, so if we go for first the introduction part, so it basically this application in the underwater basically deals with the robot system which is remotely controlled or autonomous. These
Yes,
two
just a
vehicles.
minute. Samar, give F5, shift F5, Sabarni. Give slideshow and continue the presentation.
Saul, go for slideshow.
Give shift F5. Shift F5. F5 will lead to the first page, but shift F5 lead to the present current page. Okay, no issues. You continue the presentation, Samar.
Okay, sir. So yeah, introduction part. Unmanned underwater vehicles and robots. These basically are used in the underwater exploration. And if we see, it was introduced for commercial use in 1970s, and it has a wide application like in industry, science and research, military, and for documentary filming. Like Marvel films are also like which are shooted in a swimming pool. They also use like underwater robotics. A minute of that and which we will see the various application next slide. So the two types which is written here, remotely operated and autonomous robots. So these two basically types of robots are surrounds everything in the underwater exploration. Yeah, next slide please. Yeah, now it's time for operational area, which I mentioned earlier in the previous slide. So the various aspects which are covered in underwater robotics, like power station surveys, destruction of mines. These mines like land mines, not land mines, water mines, which are released in the water. So robotic is used for that. Inspection of dams, the areas where man cannot go, so robots are used. Like investigation of sunken objects, similar to the inspection of dams. Oil and gas industry, sea life and environmental research. These are the various areas where we will see in today's PPT. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, first of all is dam inspection underwater robotics. So how this inspection is done? When inspection is done using the underwater inspection robot, not only the underwater structure being continuously photographed with the built-in camera, but also the coordinates and location of the object are simultaneously being recorded. So that if we lost our robot or any other calamity happens or anything we suspicious we find, so we can track the location of that point where we were means a calamity happened or we find something. The photographs which have a wide range can also be made smoothly and continuously via position keeping function connected to a feedback control function mounted on the ROV. ROV means remotely operated vehicle. Furthermore, in the post processing, the size of image can be accurately measured and estimated if it is necessary. That's all for dam inspection. Now we will take for others. Next slide, please. Yeah, now destruction of mine, a brief. So this process resembles conventional bomb disarming. The robot vehicle, which has camera, broadcasts a video to a controller, and the robot may be used to cut the mine free, disarm the mine, or disrupt it. Disrupting is the use of small amount of explosive to separate the fuse from the explosive charge. So here also in ROV vehicles, we used to attach the arm and diffuse it manually through the controller. Yeah, next slide.
Is Samar who is presenting the PPT? Who is
Sahul, sir, Sahul.
Sahul?
Yeah, yeah.
Sahul, it is audible, Sahul.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. You please attention with the Samar. And concerning this current title, it is a very interesting topic because there are major calamities and major mishappenings during mines, and even in the recent times also it might have some issues with the mines, and when there is an uncertainty and we need to worry with the life of the individuals, and I request you to have an attention with these type of robots if feasible. You try to build such a extensive robot which can replace the human in the mines. Yes, go ahead, Samir.
Yes, sir. Sahul, next slide. Yeah, the third aspect is in the oil gas industry. So here basically the main function of the robotics is to make the process autonomous because it can be hazardous for human to do that. So here it is. There's a plenty of different application of robotic technologies in the oil and gas industry. In most cases, the robots are designed to automate a single specific task, but one that's usually dangerous or a repetitive task. I said it earlier. These robots that handle this instead of human oilers not only provide more efficiency to the oil company, but also allowing for better safety conditions, which is necessary to all of us when it comes to human workers that are on actual rigs. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so now the remaining three aspects are like robotics in sea life, investigation of sunken objects, and power station survey. So, like when the robotics is used in sea life for like exploration of various life research. So, what the basically they do, they try to make a realistic robot. If we talk about fish, which robot which will like be similar to fish, so that it cannot affect other animals or in the water, because if some other shape or size it is there, then it can be like dangerous. If they feel dangerous, then they can destroy that robot. So for studying secretive sea life, they develop a similar shape or size robot which not affect the environment, or and they can take their research part easily. Similarly, followed in the investigation of sunken objects, and like power station surveys are similar to like dam inspection surveys which we seen before. So that's all for my part. Now the next part will be taken by Sashank.
Yeah, so introduction part. Yeah, good morning. I am Shashank. I would be talking about the application of robotics in space exploration. Next slide, please.
Sorry to interrupt, Shashank. Like Saul, I think you should click in the enable editing button. The option is there. Then might be you will be able to show the slideshow.
Saul, it's not visible. Saul, can you start the presentation?
Sagul, you stream your presentation. Again, it went.
Yeah. Good morning. I am Shashank. I will be talking about the application of robotics in space exploration. So, robotics and autonomous systems have been instrumental to space exploration, enabling breakthrough science as well as fulfilling human curiosity and ambition to conquer new worlds. Now, space robotics is important because the manned way of surveying the space is not the most safest and the easiest way to know the secrets about the space or fulfill one's curiosity. So robotics have been a key feature to study the outside world. Space robotics represents several key enablers to a wide range of future robotics and crewed space missions, as well as opportunities for knowledge and technology transfer to many terrestrial sectors. In a greater humanitarian context, space robotics inspires both current and future generations to exploration and critical study of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Next, please. Saul, next slide. So now space exploration of our solar system, distant galaxies, and further reaches of the universe is important to top level science and the answers to many fundamental scientific questions, including the formation of universe, the origin of Earth, evolution of life, and the existence of life beyond the Earth. Like we have been conducting the Mars mission. NASA has been sending rovers to Mars to explore the possibility of life on Mars. So all these have been possible due to the introduction of robotics in space exploration. Space robotics plays a critical role in current and future space exploration missions and enables mission-defined machines that are capable of surviving the space environment and performing exploration, assembly, construction, maintenance, or servicing tasks. Space robotics is important to humans' overall ability to explore by providing greater access beyond human space flight limitations in the harsh environment. Not all environments can be sustained by the humans, even in the most advanced space suits. But advanced robotics have made it possible for the scientists to not only explore but also to see the survivability of the machines in those harsh conditions. Next, please. So next slide. Saul, next slide. Yeah. So there are basically two types of robots that are used in space robotics. Space robotics cover all types of robotics for the exploration of a planet surface, as well as robotics used in orbit around the bodies. Now, first is orbital robots. Robots can be used for repairing satellites, assembling large space telescopes, capturing and returning asteroids, or deploying assets for scientific investigation. Whereas a planetary robot is one where its key role is surveying, observation, extraction, close examination. In short, it is actually landed on the planet itself to get a uh, more better information about the planet, where orbital robots is more like a telescope or satellites which revolve in the orbit of the specified planet. Next slide, please. So, so from this figure, we can understand the orbital exploration. Robotics in lower Earth orbit, we see many satellites being sent for defense purposes, for weather and all, and which revolves in the geostationary orbit. Whereas there have been sent rovers on Mars, Moon, and other planets for the study of the planetary soils and their mining and the existence of life. Robotics that is. And also on small comets and asteroids. Next, please. Next slide. Now, when we talk about space robotics, there are two important terms that need to be known. That is locomotion and autonomy. Now, depending on its application, either orbital or planetary, a space robot is designed to possess locomotion or mobility to manipulate, grab, rove, drill, and or sample. Driven similarly by the nature of the mission and distance from the Earth, the robot is expected to possess varying level of autonomy, ranging from teleoperation by human to fully autonomous operation by the robots themselves. Depending on the level of autonomy, a space robot can act as a robotic agent. That is, it can be used as a human proxy. It's not actually sending a human, but it acts in place where it can study the material and gather information, send it back to the teleoperators. Or a robotic assistant. Even if we send a astronaut or a human on the other planets, it's not possible for him to gather all information alone. So a robotic assistant is usually assigned with him to help him complete the task more quickly and safely, because the terrains there can be harsh and inaccessible. Next, please. Saul, next slide. With now evolution of space robotics, with time robotics have developed a lot, not only on Earth but also in the field of space. The new generation of space exploration had traveled further into the solar system to tackle more ambitious scientific and exploration goals. Hence, it is anticipated to require more capable space robots with diversified locomotion and increased level of autonomy. Now we will be discussing on these two topics and how they have revolutionized space robotics to further our research and investigation in deep space. Next slide, please. Saul, next slide.
I think data is bro.
Now, diversified mobility and access. Now we talked about how mobility is very important for any space robot. So there have been researches. Despite successful exploration performed to date, space robotics have literally only scratched the surface. To further advance our knowledge of Earth and other destinations, robotic mobility solutions have been proposed by space community to explore the vast swaths of unexplored landscape. More comprehensive, if we talk about an example, we can see about a robonaut called Centaur or Desert Rat. Please, can you show the next slide? This is an image of a desert rat or centaur. It has been developed by NASA to travel in difficult terrains like Mars or Moon at faster speeds, increasing the mobility of a human or an robot, human robot. Because if in earlier times when when the astronauts were sent, they would not be able to landscape more area because of the lack in mobility. But there have been certain researches and developments in this field which has not only increased the area that can be scattered for information, but also be safe for the ongoing passenger. Next slide, please. Saul, next slide. Saul, next slide. Increased level of autonomy. Increased robotic autonomy enables human interact with or utilize robots at a greater level, or assistance pair in mixed human robot teams, or goal-oriented fully autonomous explorer. Planning, scheduling, and resource management enable robotics agents to manage their own actions. In short, it's like an AI where the robot itself can think in the situation, not to be all, because when there's a teleoperator on Earth and a robot has been sent up, there's a time lag between the information sent and received. So certain research have certain development in this area has enabled the robots to not only function on its own, but take decisions important to those situations. Next, please. Now, one of the now I will telling about three, four another explanation that application that has been important in the space robotics. One is deep space probe. One application of robotics in space is the automation of scientific probes. These probes present the most compelling requirement for autonomous operation, since speed of light delays preclude operator control. A good example of such mission is the Galileo Jupiter probe in 1985. Next, please. And next is space construction. A second major application is a space, for example, the International Space Center. It requires a continuous maintenance and construction for its functioning. So robotics have been used for construction and maintenance of different objects in the space. Next, please. Next is space rescue. This is a newly developed area in which robots have been developed to not only rescue humans but also rescue another robot, because weather in those areas or conditions can be very unpredictable. So to properly salvage all our instruments and the humans, we certain rescue robots have been developed to help in such missions. Next slide. So robotics, I will be concluding with this slide. Robotics have demonstrated novel access capabilities for humans to extend their reach in space. Past robotic missions have enabled unique science, increasing our knowledge in a wide range of science disciplines. Future robotic missions will continue and change the way space is explored in even more fundamental ways. Soon we can be, there have been different researches which will enable us not only to explore our galaxy, but go beyond the universe, so that more mysteries can be solved in space, and robotics will play a very major part in those emissions. Thank you. This will be all from mine. Now Sahul will be discussing about his topic, material handling.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello.
Yes, Sahul, go ahead, Sahul.
Sir, I am going to present application of material handling in robotics. First of all, I am going to discuss definition of material handling.
Sahul, 6 more people asked to present, and I request you to present in a rapid way, Sahul.
Of material handling. Material handling application include material transfer and machine loading and unloading. Material transfer application require the robot to move materials or bulk parts from one location to another. Many of these tasks are relatively simple, require robots to pick up parts from one conveyor and place them on another. Other transfer operations are more complex, such as placing parts onto pallets in an arrangement that must be calculated by the robot. Machine loading and unloading operation utilize a robot to load and unload parts at a production machine. This requires the robot to be equipped with a gripper that can grasp parts. Objectives of material handling: to lower unit material handling cost, to reduce manufacture cycle time, to provide better control of the flow of materials, to provide better working conditions, to provide contribution for better quality by avoiding damage to products, to increase storage capacity, to provide higher productivity at lower manufacturing costs. There are 4 types of material handling equipment. First of all, storage and handling equipment. Second one, bulk material handling equipment. Third one, industrial trucks. And fourth, engineered systems. Why robots for material handling? Robotic handling offers significant benefits for nearly an industry that moves parts of or products at a scale, reducing change over time, saving floor space, and maintaining consistency. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. This is Harshini. Robotics in food manufacturing. Next slide. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, food manufacturing processes involves industries which mainly transform livestock and agricultural products into immediate or final consumption products that can be given directly to the customers. Next slide. Okay. Over the past couple of years, food manufacturing has become more difficult because of increasing productivity as well as intricate processes that need to be carried out for specific tasks like various cooking methods, picking and packing, preparing ingredients, as well as the safety of food manufacturing environment. Next slide. Industrial robots in food manufacturing. Industrial robots are now increasingly being integrated in food processing industry in order to save time and space as well as improve cleanliness. Food manufacturing industry for a long time had very little robotic involvement due to the fact that food products are highly variable in their structure, shape, and size, which has been a major problem for the development of robotics in handling food products. So far, commercial applications of robots in food industry have been
mainly in the sector of packaging and palletizing. Major advancement in robotic technology within food processing sector has been the introduction of advanced grippers. These grippers allowed quick and gentle handling of sensitive food materials, which improved the robotic technology in food manufacturing sector. Nowadays, food manufacturing robots are used in various applications like dispensing, feed placement, cutting, as well as they are also used in cooking following the recipes given, as well as picking and placing industries and decoration and sorting food products, etc. Newer developments in robotics in food manufacturing industries are they also allow robots for order picking, like an customer will place an order electronically and the robot will fill the specific order. Next. Food manufacturing processes are basically classified into two types. One is primary and the other one is secondary food processing. Next one. Primary food processing involves handling raw food products, which are directly from agricultural products, which have to be cleaned, sorted, chopped, and packaged and sent directly, or they can undergo secondary food processing operations and convert themselves into edible products, and then they are packaged. Robotics has a huge amount of application in primary food processing these days. Most of the common applications are given below. Robotics in butchery. Butchery is very difficult task to automate because of the various size of the carcass in different animals. If it is a butcher, it will be very easy for him to adapt with the various sizes because of his experience, but it becomes very difficult to automate it in robotics. There are also simple butchery tasks like high volume chicken leg deboning, which is now established by robots in meat processing industry. Next slide. In case of beef production, the use of robotic equipment was in splitting the complete carcass into carcass slides. This was the initial use of robots in beef production. Vision guided robots were used in making accurate cut in the carcass. Next. Next application in primary food processing is fruits and vegetable pick and place. Fruits and vegetables are very challenging to handle by robots because of their variation in the size and shape, and also it's very delicate to handle. Because of these reasons, only humans were involved in this sector. But nowadays, developments in gripping technology has introduced flexible grippers to handle very delicate food. Parallel robots are deployed in this process because of its high speed and its gentle handling on these robots. Next. Robotic cutting and slicing. Cutting and slicing may seem very easy a task by human beings, whereas there are certain cutting and slicing operations which are very intricate that is very difficult to automate by robots. Since so human workers were mostly used in this sector, but due to the improvement in deep learning, now robotics is also starting to make its way into this industry. There are some advanced cutting techniques are detecting and removing defects from the fish, as well as cutting fillets to form uniform shape and sizes. Now the next thing, next slide. Okay, robotic application in secondary food processing. Secondary food processing involves handling products which have been undergone primary processing, and they are to be converted into edible products, which are to be packaged and sent to customers. Robotics have a lot of several applications in secondary food processing industry for a long time. Some applications are product pick and place. This is actually different from vegetable pick and place because here the finished products are similar in shape and size, and therefore it becomes very easy for robots to handle it. Usually high-speed delta robots are used in moving this product in the production line. Next. Next. Okay, other kind of applications that are most used in modern days are cake decoration, where a 3D printer like machine which has a robotic arm is used as a pipe to ice on the cake, whereas a company called Unifiller has created a DecoBot, which is a decorating robot that can pipe hand-drawn decorations onto cakes on moving conveyor, which will be designed in a software that will be replicated on the cake. Next. Another common application these days is pizza making. A company called Picnic, which is a Seattle-based technology company in Las Vegas that focuses on food production solutions, utilizing robotics as a service, has produced a pizza making robot. It has a Delta robot to spread tomato sauce and cheese, whereas an ABP manipulator to tend the pre-baking ovens. Once the order comes in, the robot starts assembling the pizza as soon as the dough hits the surface, it even aligns the pizza dough properly, and even makes different shapes out of it. It can even make the self. It also has the ability to self learn from its mistakes, making it more automated in future. Next. Okay, once the secondary food processing are done, then the product gets into packaging. Robotics has been used in packaging for a very long time. Many food companies and packaging machinery manufacturers have successfully been able to use robots in wide variety of packaging processes in almost most of the industries like dairy, meat, baking, confectionaries, and even beverage industries. Beyond handling unwrapped products, robotic packaging have also successfully been able to fill products in packets and seal the machine, as well as create product arrays or stack them, as well as they are also involved in loading and unloading the food in a red dot process. Descrambling of bottles have already been explained by Sabarni. In the packaging products into reusable single-use trays are also done by robots. It is also used in unloading various types of baked goods from pan, as well as packing, palletizing, and depalletizing beverages, sealing them, as well as labeling machines. All these works are done by robotics in packaging industries. Next. Next. Limitations. Robotic systems and robots are limited because they work based on functions, and the function is known only by the programmer. Until and unless artificial intelligence becomes very easy that the worker can use it, so it becomes a problem when there is any emergency or when there is any unexpected change which will cause a loss. Since artificial intelligence is becoming more sophisticated and robots can be used in households, it has a negative effect on human family system as well as human health also. Now, this is the end of this topic, and Govind will continue.
Good morning, sir. Is my screen visible? Hello.
Yes, Govindarajan. Yes, Govindarajan.
Yes, sir. So today I will be speaking about the applications of robots in the medicinal field. So as we all know, robots is much more a simpler and a very economic device. And in medicine, robot helps by relieving the medicinal personnel from the routine tasks that take their time away from more pressing responsibilities and help in making medicinal procedures safer and less costly for the patients. They can also perform accurate surgery in tiny places and transport dangerous substances throughout the body. Unlike human beings, robots are tireless and their hands never shake. So they can perform precise movements beyond the human range of motion and can be present with patients for as long as necessary. Plus, they can automate lower level or repetitive tasks and leave the high level work to the humans, thus making them very efficient. So the basic types of robots that are used are as follows. So the first one is Da Vinci surgical robot. So this basically gives the surgeon more precise control for a range of procedures by using magnified three-dimensional high-definition vision, and also helps in controlling, which straps around the surgeon's wrists and hands for more stability. The second one is a Xenon germ zapping robot. This is used to disinfect an entire hospital room in just minutes by using pulsed full-spectrum UV rays that kill a range of infectious bacteria. The third one is the parotherapeutic robot. This is used extensively with elderly patients with dementia and has been proven to reduce stress and provide comfort to anxious patients. The cyber knife. This helps in delivering radiation therapy to tumors with extremely small, or that is the sub-millimeter precision. The tug. They are programmed with the hospital's floor and are also equipped with a variety of sensors to ensure that they do not run into anything on their way to the lab. Yeah. So the benefits of using robots. So first, what are the benefits of using robots for the patients? So the patients help in getting more precise surgery, significantly less pain, and they also experience less risk of infection and blood loss. This also helps in earlier discharge from the hospital and also helps in shorter recovery. Whereas the benefits for the doctors are an enhanced visual field and superior dexterity, access to hard to reach places. More applications of robots that can be used in the medicinal field include telepresence. This helps in examining and treating patients in the rural or remote locations as mentioned before. Rehabilitation robots, recovery of people with disabilities, including improved mobility, strength, coordination, and quality of life. Robotic prescription dispensing system. Automated dispensing systems have advanced to the point where robots can now handle power, liquids, and highly viscous materials with much higher speed and accuracy. Over here, we come across two photos where on the left-hand side, we'll be able to see the CyberKnife, which is performing a surgery on the stomach. And on the right side, is the Da Vinci surgical robot. Moving on, the robotic surgery can be used for various terms such as coronary artery bypasses, cutting away cancer tissue from sensitive parts of the body such as blood vessels, nerves, or important body organs, gallbladder removal, hip replacement, hysterectomy, total or partial kidney removal, and as well as for kidney transplant. So the impact of robots in the field basically include that the robots can do some jobs better, cheaper, and faster than humans, and they can transcribe and store information which help the nurses diagnose their patient and even allow low healthcare workers to treat patients with less doctors and other high-skilled workers. So with this, I come to the end of my presentation and moving on to Yoganathan, who will talk more about the robots in defense. Yoganathan?
Sorry, applications. I'm doing applications in education, not applications in defense.
So who's doing application in defense?
It's Sai Ganesh.
Oh, Sai Ganesh, are you here?
Yeah, hello, I'm here. Yeah, one second.
Yeah, you can screen share and start. Thank you, sir.
Yes, it was very nice presentation, Govindarajan. And as a single person, it won't be cover much details about these applications and all. And my appreciation to each and everyone concerning this batch, because the medical applications and all, it is very fine to hear such information. And if it is feasible, go ahead with that content and try to build a new medical related robotics. And once we will discuss more once the presentation is over.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, Sai Ganesh.
My screen is also visible, right?
Yes.
So good afternoon. I'm here to explain you about how robots are used in defense sector. Application of robots in defense has a very special usage. That is, in every other industry robots are used, it creates big unemployment problems. But when they are used in defense, though unemployment rises, but it saves huge lives. So before going into the topic, let me take you people into few circumstances that happened before. The very first news clipping will get you remember about the Pathankot strike, and the next one will remember you about the Pulwama, where around 40 Indian army people died. So when defense robots are used in such sectors, we could promise that we could save a lots and lots of human life, worthy human life. So yeah, getting into the topic, the very question is, why do we need robots in defense sector? Yeah, if we try to understand the soldier lifestyle of a soldier, it is very difficult. Every day we see in newspapers that there are few people who lose their life in borders, in Wagah borders. So this is something very important that should be substituted with robots. And yeah, we also have greater accuracy and precision when we use robots, so that we would also save the life of the public. Robots could also be used for walking through minefields, They could be used for deactivating unexploded bombs, and yeah, it could be used for clearing out hostile buildings. Robots could also be used in environments that are much unstructured and not natural, where, like, let's say in a forest, a war happens, we could only have robots to work more effectively than other human soldiers. So next, robots in defense are broadly classified into 4 aspects. First one is control, where robots are mostly remote control. They are generally unmanned, but they are controlled. Supervised are where robots work on their own, but they need continuous supervision. Third one is automated. It could do stuffs on their own, but they couldn't make decisions by themselves. Fourth one is autonomous, that is completely built with artificial intelligence. But as of now, we have defense robots only in the first 3 sectors. So the very first controlled robots are unmanned aerial vehicles. These are like, they are unofficially called as drones. They are built with infrared cameras, GPS, lasers, and they are much used for intelligence surveillance drones. Surveillance in the sense, they completely check on, let's say on Indian Parliament we have UAVs. They continuously check on what happens in and around it. Next one is when we have drones, it makes the work more effective and cost efficient. Moreover, it saves lives too. It is difficult for human people to have a 24/7 check around the environment, but when we have drones, it seems to be much easy because robots don't get tired, as we know. But as every technical advancement has its own disadvantage. Drones could easily be hacked. So when we use drones within our country, the other nations could hack it and get the information from us. This is GIF of a one such drone that is built by DARPA. DARPA is the official research organization of United States. So next one is unmanned ground vehicles. Just as how we use drones for surveillance in sky, we also use unmanned ground vehicles to do the same actions in the ground. It is predominantly used for surveillance reconnaissance. Reconnaissance in the sense they generally collect data that happens in and around it, and they process for the required. I mean, they are basically built with machine learning algorithms, and they generally act as ICS and even combat soldiers. They could be used for diffusing bombs, and they can also be used to clear mines. And yeah, this is one such UGV built in Syria by Syria government. So this is the most advanced UGV as of now we have. Next one is autonomous ships and submarines. Autonomous submarines scouring the oceans, tracking and engaging enemy vessels. Actually, as of now, we do not know much of this technology, but yeah, they are being used as of now. These submarines and ships are mostly used for saving people from harbor attacks. Recently, the Indian government have also launched one such for in the Indian Ocean to save people in the Sri Lanka border. The Sri Lanka border in the sense the ocean border. And yeah, so the other problem that happens when we use autonomous ships is safety, because when our submarine or ship crosses to one particular extent, there again comes a problem of it being theft or any other action, because they are generally unmanned. Okay, so this is something again by DARPA. It is being named as Sea Hunter, and the next one is by Boeing. It is called as Echo Voyager. This is a submarine. Here we have a military ship. So next one is search and rescue bots. When wars happen, we generally lose many important stuff, and we need people to be saved and rescued very quickly. And we use search and rescue bots to do such performance. The very big advantage of using rescue bots are that they could go under any such circumstances, like under nuclear radiations, biological problems, radiological and chemical environments, because they are not being harmed under any such circumstances. The biggest rescue bot that we have as of now is the robot bear. It is shortly known as bear, and it is used in battlefield to rescue humans to save life. Next one is combat support. Combat means duels. I mean, when countries fight against each other, as of now these are not being employed much, but yeah, they are under development. So they are basically used for anti-submarine operations, laying mines, fire support, electronic warfare, battle management, and strike missions and aerial refueling. They also minimize collateral damage and fight effectively in urban areas. So the big advantage of this is it could also diffuse bombs very quickly and rescue life under war circumstances. Next is firefighting robots. When wars happen, I mean, this is not only applicable for wars, but they are generally also called as defense robots. But when wars happen, lots of fire circumstances happen. So these robots, they are kind of sub-classification under rescue robots. These robots can easily detect fire, and it could implement a broad range of fire suppressing techniques. The big advantage of this is it could withstand any high temperature for any long time. It is built in such a way and materials it could have rapid movements. They are built in with smoke and fire gas sensors so that it could easily find where fire exists and also the way to come out of it. So this is one of my favorite defense robot. This is built by Boston Dynamics. It is in collaboration with Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It is called as Big Dog. This particular robot have a most powerful way of balancing. Even if it is being kicked, it could withstand. If it could climb any smooth and rough surfaces on its own. So these are the popular defense robots and most advanced by country. So the most advanced defense robots that Indian Army has is Daksh. It is used for a remotely operated vehicle. It is a kind of rescue bot, and it is also being employed with many other operations as of now. So I told you, right, there is a last classification called autonomous. So this is Atlas. It was also being built by Boston Dynamics. It is still under development, but this particular robot is capable of doing every single action that even human does. It could take gun on its own. It could shoot. It could fight properly. It could do everything that human does. This is the motive of that robot, but it is under development. So yeah, if these robots come into the actions, we could surely tell that every loss of life could be saved. But though this could save lots of life, I wish to conclude this session with an important question. So what would happen if every single country presents defense robots? Because defense robots, as of now we saw, they are very powerful. They could save life. At the same time, it could also kill life. But the biggest worry is what would happen, let's say in 50 to 100 years, every country would have this, but what would be the condition at that time? With this, I end my session and I hand over this again to Yognath to explain you on what happens in education.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. I'm Yoganand. I'm going to explain about applications of robotics in education.
Yes, just a minute, Yognath. Yes, those who want to leave the session, yes, you leave the session. There are other 3 more people has to present. If you wish, you can. Yes, go ahead.
Next slide, please. So first of all, what is educational robotics? Educational robotics is a discipline designed to introduce students to robotics and programming at a very young age. In the case of infant and primary education, educational robotics provides students with everything they need to easily build and program a robot capable of performing any task. There are also more advanced and more expensive robots for secondary and higher education. In any case, the complexity of the discipline is always according to the student's age. So educational robotics is included within the STEM education, a teaching model designed to teach science, technology, engineering, and maths together, and in one of which practice takes precedence over theory. Next slide. Next slide, please. So how do robots help students? Educational robots help children develop one of the basic cognitive skills of mathematical thinking at a very young age, computational thinking. They help develop the mental process we use to solve problems of various kinds through an orderly sequence of actions. Another benefit of educational robots is that they teach children to become familiar with and learn basic programming skills. This is becoming more and more important every year. This is a fact. That's a fact that according to the European Commission, by 2025 there will be 825,000 unfilled jobs in Europe due to lack of CS and ICT professionals. So next slide. So as well as developing computational thinking, educational robots promote other skills as well among young children. These are creativity and imagination, teamwork, learning from mistakes, self-esteem, critical thinking, proactive spirit, adapting to the future, self-assessment, motivation for learning, and developing useful ways of communication. Other skills that are influenced by educational robotics are responsibility, order, and a more optimal development of spatial perception and relationships between objects. So next slide, please. So now we are going to see the most popular educational robots that are used worldwide. First, MakeBlock Mbot. This robot with wheels designed to introduce children to robotics, programming, and electronics. This is easy to assemble and easy to control because of the scratch-based software designed for children. Its compatibility with the MakeBlock platform and its electronic parts are based on the Arduino open source ecosystem. This allows more experienced users to create more complex robots. Next slide. So next, Robo Wonderkind. This consists of a set of blocks that the children can connect as they wish to build their own robot. Each block has a function identified with a color, and after building the robot, the children can use an app to program it and obey according to the functions. So as you can see, these are basically like building blocks, so they are very easy to assemble, and children can easily build it and program it. The next slide. Next one is OV535. This is basically a robotic arm which is suitable for people aged 13 or above. These can lift objects up to 100 grams and has a wide variety of movements on which students can program according to the customizations. This robot is recommended especially for vocational training cycles. So these are controlled with using a remote. So next slide, please. Next one is Lego Mindstorm EV3. This is a robotic set that includes several sensors, 3 servo motors, and over 500 Lego Technic components, through which students can create different robots capable of various functions like moving, shooting, and etc. This is controlled with a simple and intuitive programming interface and is available in 2 versions, home version and education version. This robot is recommended for children over 10 years old. Next slide, please. The last and the most important robot, Neo. This is one of the world's most popular educational robots. This is 58 centimeter tall humanoid robot that is constantly evolving. These have 2 cameras and 4 microphones, and also consist of great many sensors that allow it to interact with the environment in a similar way that humans do. Neos can observe, listen, have conversations, and teach any subject. Its faculties and several programming levels enable its integration into the learning process of students from age 5 up to university level. So these are very advanced educational robots compared to the other robots, and these are the most popular and it's used worldwide. Next slide. So practical examples of robotic activities in classrooms. So according to the Digital Competence Framework for Citizens, these activities below allow students to develop their computational thinking skills. So these are browsing, searching, and filtering data, information, digital content, evaluating data, information, digital content, managing data, information, and digital content, interacting to digital technologies, collaborating with digital programs, and at last programming. So that's it about educational robotics. Now my friend Shanu Kumar will explain about applications of robotics in industry. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. This is Shanu Kumar presenting on application of robots in industry. Next slide. Coming to introduction to robotics. Robotics is an interdisciplinary field that integrates computer science and engineering. Robotics involves design, construction, operation, and use of robots. The goal of robotics is to design machines that can help and assist humans. As the field of robotics grow ever more sophisticated, a greater number of technicians are required to lend their talent to design, program, and maintain robots. The robotic systems. The five areas of robots are operator interface. What is operator interface? The operator interface, commonly referred to as a human robot interface, it is the medium that allows the user and the robot to communicate. The second one, mobility and locomotion. In order for a robot to complete a task, it needs to be able to move in its environment. In robotics, this movement is called locomotion. Third one, manipulator and effectors. For any robot to be worthwhile, it must be able to interact with its environment. That's where the manipulator and effectors come into play. Fourth one is programming. Programming is essentially the language an operator use to communicate with robot. Traditionally, any action that robot was required to perform had to be performed. These days, advanced programming allows robot systems to learn and adapt to change within its environment, which is truly a remarkable feat of engineering. The fifth one is sensing and perception. Robots use sensors to gather information. This information let the robot know the physical space it occupies, where it needs to go, and if any obstacle block its path. Sensors also collect information to help the robot decide how to react to that object. The right sensor must be selected for each robot's specific application to ensure that correct decisions are made. Next slide. So, what is meant by industrial robots? An industrial robots is a boot system used for manufacturing. Industrial robots are automated, programmable, and capable of movement on all three axes, is that X, Y, and Z. Its major types are articulated robots, Cartesian coordinate robots, cylindrical coordinate robots, spherical coordinate robots, scalar robots, and delta robots. Next slide. The first one is articulated robots. They may look like human arm, which is why they are also called robotic arm or manipulator arm. Range from simple two joint structure to 10 or more joints. Example FANUC Archimedes series. The second one is Cartesian coordinate robot. These are also called rectilinear or gantry robots. Cartesian robots have three linear joints that use the Cartesian coordinate system, that is X, Y, and Z. For example, overhead gantry Cartesian robots, cylindrical coordinate robots. The robot has at least one rotary joint at the base and at least one prismatic joint to connect the links. The rotary joint uses a rotational motion along the joint axis, while the prismatic joint moves in a linear motion. Cylindrical robots operate with a cylindrical shaped work envelope. Next slide, please. The fourth one is spherical coordinate robots. Coordinate robots have just rotary joints. They are one of the first robots to have been used in industrial application. Example, Unimed 2000 series. The fifth one is scalar robot. Commonly used in assembly application, this selectively compliant arm for robotic assembly is primarily cylindrical in design. It features two parallel joints that provide compliance in one selected plane. The SCARA acronym stands for Selective Compliance Assembly Robot Arm. The sixth one is Delta Robot. These are spider-like robots are built from jointed parallelograms connected to a common base. Heavily used in the food, pharmaceutical, and electronic industries. Next slide. Hello. Now, use of robotics in different industries. There are four prominent areas where robotics is widely used in industry, and they are healthcare industry, defense and public safety industry, manufacturing industry, and mining industry. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. The first one is healthcare industry. Robotics has been a major player in the current evolution of this industry. For example, intuitive surgicals, Da Vinci robots are surgical robots that are used by doctors and are considered the standard of care to perform minimally invasive prostatectomy. They can also help the doctor perform hysterectomy, lung surgeries, and other types of procedures. The second one is defense and public safety industry. When people think about robots involving in industry, they often think of the defense or public safety industry first. Due to this, the development of uncrewed vehicles, the public has seen the defense industry completely change, become one that uses robot to conduct reconnaissance, battlefield support, and sentry duty. The third one is manufacturing industry. The modern manufacturing industry first started using programmable industrial robots as early as 1961. Back then, robots were automatic, being repetitive and menial tasks that people found boring or dangerous. Since then, robots have evolved to the point where they are now more efficient than unskilled labor in the manufacturing industry. The fourth one is mining industry. These types of robots conduct reconnaissance and compile important information about the interior of a mine. This provides a safer work environment for the remaining human miners. For example, Stanley Innovation has an advanced custom robot that is placed on the Segway Robotic Mobility Platform, that is RPM, allowing it to maneuver over hazardous terrain. Next slide. Some practical example robots are Cartesian robots, scalar robots, six-axis robots, redundant robots, and dual-arm robots. That's all from my side. Next, Hasni will take. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Are you able to hear me, sir?
Yes, Samruddh, go ahead, Samruddh.
Yes. So, present afternoon, Ronald Present here. My topic is application of robots in the field of textiles. There seems to be myth for a long time that robots are suitable only to handle only hard objects and those soft solid objects like metal, wood, plastic. But this was bit true before until 20 years. But now the robotics have entered the field of textiles too. So the robots have constantly automated a few processes in the field of textiles, which needed a human intervention. So the cloth manufacturers are able to now produce quality of world standards. So now let us deal into the excellent robot applications. First application is the robot printing and drawing. Printing designs onto a fabric is the main task in garment manufacture. Here the robots are perfect for printing and drawing as complex parts can be programmed automatically if right tools are used. And here the robots operate at a very high speed and at even very high efficiency than other processes. So they produce product which can pass many quality tests like many ISO tests. Currently, Zara uses the latest technology in this process. So here, as you see, this is the gripper of a robot of the printing operation. The second application is the use of robots in the logistic transportation. This is quite an old method, and this method has been constantly used since a long time for this application. Clothes or fabric are generally packed and transported in the form of bales and cottons in huge containers, and so robots used here are through complete automation. The main aspects which are covered in logistics transportation are warehousing and sorting. And this is the Zara Group logistics robots, as you can see. The third application is 3D fiber structure printing. One of the latest development in robot textile manufacturing is 3D printing. In a similar manner to normal 3D printing, 3D printed fabrics use fibers that are coated in polymer for garments like protective firefighting uniforms. The robot guides the fabric into the shape of 3D structure and hardening polymer sets it in place. This is one of the latest discovery in the field of textiles. The next operation is pick and place. This is a common operation used for robots, and this is more widely used in the field of textiles. Here, pick and place can be used almost any manufacturing environment when you need to move pieces around the workspace. Although textiles are flexible, it is entirely possible with careful programming to move pieces around using a robot with modified gripper. This operation is otherwise called as palletizing and depalletizing. This is an example of an palletizing or depalletizing robot. The next interesting application is the use of laser welding for in the field of textiles. Sewing was only the operation to join two clothes, but in recent years there has been a shift from sewing to laser welding. This is well suited for robot automation. Here, as you can see in the picture, there are two fibers which make up a cloth. The fiber which runs parallel to the width of cloth is called weft fabric, and which runs along the length of fabric is called war fabric. So the welding is carried out in the direction of least count fiber. Here the least count fiber means in clothes generally weft and warp are not of the same count. One is slightly less thin than the other. So here the welding is carried out in the direction of the least count fiber, and it is the robot of laser welding. The next application is fabric testing. Here, many companies like Jockey and world-class companies need good fabrics to be imported into their garments. So here, the product testing becomes an essential step in quality assurance of these companies. So here, machines exist for testing particular aspects of textile, and there is a need for testing of entire final product. So here, robots can be a good way to perform this task as they are able to apply various stresses on the material as demanded by the test. This is a picture of fabric testing. The next operation is machine tending. Application is machine tending. Many of the traditional automated machines in textile manufacturing need to be loaded and unloaded by human operators. This can be done in a potentially dangerous task for humans, as humans when do it for a long time loses concentration. So adding a machine tending robot can improve productivity and allow workers to move to more skilled tasks. And this is an example of a machine tending robot. The final application is complex sewing. Sewing is one of the most challenging aspects of textile manufacturing, particularly when producing garments. So here, complex parts are required to sew garments that have 3D shape. This is very difficult to program given the challenge of flexible material. But now, recently, several solutions have been implemented over the years to handle more complex sewing tasks. This is an example. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Do you have any doubts with this presentation? Do you have any doubts with this presentation? Yes. I request anyone. Do you have any application for the borewell recovery system? There are few accidents are happening in and around us. Do you have any robots for doing risk to safeguard the people, the children who went in the borewells?
Sir, this is Samruddha. Like recently, a Madurai-based college student have developed a robot which goes into a borewell of even more than 100 feet and safely takes the child out of the borewell. But so the robot that was designed by the student was like the robot can even operate in and operate through radio frequency, and can and the main use of that robot is they have a gripper which can hold the children's hand without any much pressure.
Yes. Have you seen the videos of that particular product?
No, sir.
No, no. It was quite interesting. Yes, Govindarajan.
So there's a video of Bangalore students inventing a borewell rescue robot, like on this thing as well. It came on India Today and all the newses as well.
Yes, but still there are accidents happening around us. What happened in last year also in Tamil Nadu? If you are belongs to Tamil Nadu, you may be very aware about it. During Diwali time, it was very pathetic that one child went and it is unable. Even after 3 days, it went in a negative way. And my appreciations to this particular team. Your efforts are highly appreciable. And since we are engineers, we need to concern about the betterment of human society. And that too with your presentation with the newspaper cuttings and all, it is very fine. And your efforts are highly appreciable. And if it is feasible, you try to have a look at these borewell robotics also. And thank you. We'll meet during Friday 9:30. And my concern is I have classes during 10:30. Also, I have classes. Hence, I request these people, that is 107 to 115. You please converge with your scheduled time. Thank you, Nandal. We'll meet during Friday 9:30.